He traced a finger across the city map, each line, each circle, a calculated move in an intricate dance. 14 exits, he muttered, his eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. This wasn't just about the money, it was about the game, the thrill of outsmarting the hunters. Weeks he'd spent, studying the bank's routines, the traffic flow, the city's pulse. He knew the patrol routes, the response times, even the names of the officers he'd be facing. It was a chess match, and he, the master player, intended to make every move count. The vault, with its antiquated security system, was child's play. The real challenge lay in the escape. He'd choreographed every turn, every maneuver, factoring in variables, anticipating the unexpected. There would be close calls, heart-stopping moments, but he thrived on the edge. This wasn't impulsive. This was art, and he, the artist, was about to paint the city red with the strokes of his daring escape. The bank's heavy doors swung open, a seemingly ordinary customer stepping inside. Behind the unremarkable facade, a heart pounded with anticipation, adrenaline coursing through his veins. It was showtime. The teller's forced smile, the rustle of bills, the scent of stale air, all faded into background noise as his plan unfolded. He'd rehearsed this scene 1,000 times, his movements precise, his voice calm, a mask of normalcy hiding the storm within. The vault door yielded with a metallic groan, revealing stacks of neatly bundled bills. It was almost too easy. But the real test, the exhilarating chase, was just about to begin. He could almost hear the sirens, feel the hot breath of pursuit on his neck. The game was on. The first wail of sirens sliced through the city's hum, a jarring note that signaled the start of the chase. He was out of the bank, a nondescript figure melting into the midday crowd, the stolen fortune tucked away. He could sense the city's rhythm shift, the tempo accelerating, a palpable tension gripping the air. Each pedestrian, each passing car became a potential obstacle, a pawn in his game of survival. He navigated the crowded streets with practiced ease, his senses on high alert. The responding officers, seasoned veterans of countless pursuits, were already closing in. He could picture them, grim-faced, adrenaline pumping, their radios crackling with updates, their eyes scanning the streets, hungry for a glimpse of their quarry. He was their prey, and the hunt was on. But he had a plan, and he was 2 steps ahead. He ducked into a narrow alleyway, the city's cacophony fading behind a wall of brick and grime. The air hung heavy with the stench of garbage and exhaust fumes, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of the bank he'd just left behind. He knew the city's underbelly like the back of his hand, its secret pathways and hidden passages, a lifeline in this high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Each twist and turn was a calculated move, designed to throw his pursuers off his trail, to buy him precious time. He could hear the police sirens drawing closer, their frustrated shouts echoing off the walls. But he was already moving, a shadow flitting through the labyrinthine alleys, leaving the hunters to grapple with dead ends and false trails. The city was his playground, and he was playing for keeps. He burst onto a busy thoroughfare, the city's pulse throbbing around him. The roar of engines, the blare of horns, the cacophony of city life became the soundtrack to his desperate flight. He weaved through traffic with reckless abandon, his reflexes sharp, his senses razor-sharp. Cars screeched, horns blared, pedestrians leaped aside as he carved a path through the urban jungle. He was a phantom, a blur of motion, a fleeting shadow in the city's chaotic dance. The pursuing police cars, hampered by traffic and cautious of civilian safety, struggled to keep pace. He could feel the adrenaline surging through him, a potent cocktail of fear and exhilaration. He was dancing on the edge of a knife, pushing his limits, testing the boundaries of his skill and daring. One wrong move, one miscalculation, could spell disaster. But he was in his element, riding the wave of chaos, fueled by the thrill of the chase. He slammed on the brakes, his car skidding to a halt in a cloud of tire smoke. He abandoned the vehicle, a calculated move to create confusion, to throw the pursuing pack off his scent. He vanished into the throng of pedestrians, another face in the urban crowd. He shed his outer layer of clothing, transforming his appearance, becoming a chameleon blending into the urban landscape. He was a master of disguise, a ghost flitting through the city's underbelly, leaving behind a trail of false leads and dead ends. The police, frustrated and disoriented, were forced to spread their net wider, their frustration mounting with each passing moment. He could almost taste their desperation, their grim determination to catch their elusive quarry. But he was always one step ahead, a master manipulator playing a deadly game of chess. He was the puppet master, and they were his unwitting puppets, dancing to his tune. He found himself on the city's bridge, the wind whipping at his face, the river a churning torrent below. He was trapped, cornered, with nowhere left to run. The police cars screeched to a halt, boxing him in, their sirens a chorus of impending doom. He stood on the edge, his back to the railing, the city sprawled out before him. He could hear the police radios crackling, their voices tense, their instructions precise. They were closing in, their weapons drawn, their faces grim masks of determination. He knew his options were limited, the situation growing more precarious with each passing second. He could surrender, face the consequences of his actions, or he could make a desperate gamble, a final daring move to regain control of the game. His heart pounded against his ribs, a drumbeat of defiance in the face of insurmountable odds. He took a deep breath, his mind racing, weighing the risks, calculating the odds. He had one shot, one chance to outmaneuver his pursuers. He knew the bridge's structure, its weak points, its hidden access points. In a flash of inspiration, he saw his opportunity. He clambered over the railing, clinging precariously to the bridge's underside, his muscles screaming in protest. He was invisible to the police, hidden beneath the bridge's belly, the roar of traffic masking his movements. He inched along the steel girders, his heart pounding in his chest, the wind whipping at his face. He could hear the police radios above, their voices frustrated, their search widening. He was a phantom, a ghost in the machine, slipping through their grasp. He was buying time, playing for keeps, his life hanging by a thread. He reached a maintenance hatch, a small metal door leading into the bridge's inner structure. He forced it open, slipping inside, the darkness engulfing him. He was inside the belly of the beast, surrounded by concrete and steel, the city's pulse throbbing around him. He navigated the labyrinthine corridors, guided by instinct and memory, his senses on high alert. He could hear the police sirens echoing through the metal framework, their pursuit relentless, their determination unwavering. He was a rat in a maze, desperately seeking an escape route. He stumbled upon a service ladder, a metal lifeline leading upwards. He ascended, his muscles burning, his lungs aching, his determination fueled by desperation. He was climbing towards freedom, towards a chance to vanish into the city's sprawl. He was almost there, almost out of reach of the closing net. He emerged from a manhole cover, gasping for air, blinking against the sunlight. He was on a quiet side street, far from the bridge standoff, the city's hum a distant backdrop. He had made it, escaped the clutches of the law, at least for now, but he knew the hunt was far from over. The police would be relentless, their resources vast, their determination fueled by his audacious escape. He had won this round, but the game was far from over. He was a fugitive, living on borrowed time. He needed to disappear, to melt into the shadows, to become a ghost once more. He had to stay one step ahead, always moving, always watching, always listening. The city was his hunting ground, and he was the hunted. The thrill of the chase, the adrenaline rush was fading, replaced by a gnawing anxiety, a constant fear of discovery. He disappeared into the city's sprawl, a phantom swallowed by the urban jungle. He became a whisper, a shadow, a figment of the city's imagination. The police, despite their best efforts, were left with dead ends and unanswered questions. The bank heist became a legend, a tale whispered in hushed tones, a testament to one man's audacity and cunning. He became a folk hero to some, a symbol of rebellion against the system, a modern-day Robin Hood. To others, he was a criminal, a menace to society, a reminder of the fragility of order. The city, forever scarred by his daring escape, carried on, its pulse quickening, its rhythm shifting. The game was over, but the memory lingered, a ghost haunting the city's underbelly. The city had borne witness to a master of deception, a manipulator of systems, a phantom who had vanished into thin air, and it would never be the same.